Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Everybody getting excited about patch 1.4? Wheeled vehicles? Yeah, well forget it because there's none of that here today. This is Fuzero in the Type 64 Premium Tier 6 light tank, and the matchmaking has been exceptionally kind to him today. He's top tier in 357 matchmaking, which means he's one of only 3 Tier 6s on his team. I'll bet you all of those guys in the Tier 4 tanks think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with this matchmaking and they're all going to enjoy an absolutely fantastic game. And yes, I realise that Fuzero has his tank loaded exclusively with gold ammunition. If you want to give him shit for it in the comments, I'm certainly not going to stop you. And while I wouldn't normally look twice at a replay involving somebody firing nothing but gold ammunition, he's doing it because he's trying to get Light Tank Mission 11 complete. Now, rather than just rushing for the top of the hill, which is what most of the rest of his team seem to have decided to do, he's getting some early kills from this bush here on a pair of T-28s who are doing what the majority of Tier 4 tanks appear to do when they get themselves into Tier 6 battles and just rushing forward, suiciding and ending the misery as fast as humanly possible. Oh, looks like there's a Hetzer wants to share this bush with him. Well, you know, that's fine. This is a good spot for a Hetzer as well. But note that whenever Fuzero fired through the bush, right, he'd move up to the bush, spot a target, then pull back so he could no longer see through the bush, but the target remains spotted. And by doing that, they won't see him when he fires. Now, he doesn't actually have a target to shoot at here, but he knows that there are some enemy light tanks over there who are basically doing exactly the same thing that he's doing here. Note how the Hetzer does not pull back when he fires through the bush, which means that when the Hetzer fired, he definitely got spotted. Fuzero, failing to connect with a lot of shots here, has to raise his sights in order to finally land a hit on the IKV up there, and oh look, the Hetzer's dead. I realise I'm probably preaching to the choir here. Most of you have played World of Tanks for long enough to understand how these spotting mechanics work, but, well, you'd be amazed how many people don't. The Hetzer, killed by the T-50 Mark II, who is obviously in the bushes on the other side of the lake, and equally obviously understands the spotting mechanics as well as Fuzero does, which is why he's firing blind at the bushes in an attempt to, if not kill, either the T-50 or the ELC, who's probably over there with him as well, but at the very least inflict some damage and maybe drive them away from that spotting position. The thing is, when you go into battle without any standard ammunition loaded, it's a bloody expensive way of maybe achieving some kind of a result. And while the Type 64 does carry a fair amount of ammunition, it's not unlimited, and blazing away at nothing in particular with all of that premium ammo is going to come back and bite Fuzero in the arse towards the end of this game. T-34 spotted, and yes, he's firing at him in the open, but he knows that the T-34's view range is terrible, and he can fire at him despite not using any kind of concealment without any risk of being spotted. The battle for the top of the hill appears to be going quite well for the team, and the team have in fact managed to equalise the number of kills, with 3 kills gained in a very short period of time. But there are only 2 tanks down here, Fuzero in the Type 64 and that ELC AMX. And now, with the hill firmly under their control, as Fuzero's taken a couple of pot shots at the enemy Hetzer, who's trying to make a break across the base of the cliffs up there, the rest of the tanks on the top of the hill have a decision to make. Okay, you've won the hill. Now what are you going to do? Because if they're going to come down off that hill, they have to leave their cover. Oop, Fuzero's been spotted. And bang. Yep. Don't know where the T-50 Mark II is, but the enemy ELC is definitely still in those bushes on the opposite side of the lake. And he definitely knows how to use the spotting mechanics, at least as well as Fuzero does. Meanwhile, the victorious tanks on the top of the hill are now basically all looking at each other and saying, well, go on then, you first. Because now they're faced with the problem of what to do after you have taken the top of the hill. Because in order to get down from that hill, there's a huge amount of bare-arsed open ground that they have to cover with no concealment before they reach the relative safety of the trees over there. And there are a lot of enemy tanks hiding in those trees, just waiting for them to do exactly that. Now, the friendly ELC is going on a spot and run, and so Fuzero is pre-aiming at the bushes where he knows the enemy ELC is, but then he gets distracted by all kinds of fat, juicy targets that pop up. And fails to actually hit anything, and the friendly ELC dies for his trouble. So that was a bit of a wasted opportunity. Meanwhile, on the top of the hill, friendly KV-1 has gotten sick and tired of waiting for the rest of his team to grow some balls, and he's pushing off the hill. He's getting the shit kicked out of him by all of those enemy tanks hidden in the trees, while the rest of the team on the top of the hill just sit there and watch him die. Funnily enough, the top-tier OI heavy tank on the top of the hill was just asking the M5 Stuart on the top of the hill to do what the KV-1 did. Or at least what he thinks the KV-1 did. You see, he thinks that the KV-1 was doing what he was asking the Stuart to do. Rush down the hill and spot some enemy tanks. That's not what the KV-1 was doing. The KV-1 was trying to push down the hill and attack all of these enemy tanks, and was fully expecting the rest of the team to join him. He's probably quite new here. In fact, if you pay attention to chat, and this is hilarious, okay, the OI who sat on the top of the hill and just watched the KV-1 drive off to his death, alone and unsupported, has just come to the conclusion that the KV-1 died because he had too little support. Really? Why do you suppose that is? Could it have had something to do with the top tier heavy tank who sat on the top of the hill and did nothing while the KV-1 was driving off with no support? I think possibly the two events are related. Well, anyway, the OI is now declaring his intention to hold the hill. Really? You couldn't make this up. Meanwhile, there's the T50 Mark II. Now, he had a lot of health, and it's going to take a couple of shots. So he's almost certainly going to get at least one, possibly two shots. Yep, 2 shots into Fuzero, which has damaged his ammo rack. He's killed the T50, but now he's had to use the repair kit to get his ammo rack back up and running. Now, of course, he only has 2 teammates left alive because the enemy ELC has sneaked around the back, climbed up to the top of the hill, killed the M5 Stuart, and is now threatening the OI. The OI, however, is not going to go down without a fight. That's his hill, damn it. He declared his intention to hold it, and hold it he damn well will. And he does in fact take out the ELC. But the ELC had him spotted, and enemy artillery is aiming. The thing that the OI didn't appear to understand was that the enemy team weren't attacking the hill, they were attacking the OI. They don't care about the hill, they just care about the enemy tank left alive on top of it, and now he isn't. More worryingly, they're now free to make a run on friendly artillery. Hopefully, Fuzero can spot something for artillery to shoot at before that happens. 4 enemy tanks left and he's got 13 shots. He's probably going to need help from artillery to win this, but he hasn't spotted anything from that bush. Unfortunately, the enemy artillery has just spotted something. It's a T-80 closing in, which means that very soon it's probably just going to be Fuzero against 4 enemy tanks. Artillery is doomed, but he has spotted that T-34 again. Now he backs up, so it will not be seen when he shoots through this bush, so he doesn't know whether or not that shot hit. But if it did, you kind of have to assume that the T-34 will have reacted and moved. So I'll guarantee you 2 of those shots didn't hit anything, and in fact, there you go, he's now a 1-shot kill. If the second shot had hit him, he would have known, because he would have received the message that he just killed the T-34, so there would have been no need for the 3rd shot. It's easy to sit here and judge. I'm under absolutely no pressure whatsoever. I'm not currently the last tank left alive on my team. He makes sure of the kill on the T-34. There's the OI. Actually damages him from the front, although, well, you know, he's firing nothing but gold ammo. But now he's got a bit of a problem, because he only has 8 shots left. The OI has nearly 600 health. The Hummel will be on full health, and he has no idea how much health the T-80 has. There's the Hummel, and oh, wouldn't it be nice to actually have a couple of rounds of high explosive available around about now. As it is, he's forced to waste 3 precious rounds of APCR, killing artillery, which means now he only has 5 shots left. And while 5 shots is technically enough to kill the OI, he would have to get at least an average damage roll, or better, on each shot that he fires, but he's still in with a chance of doing it. It's still going to take him every shot that he has left. And then he has to kill the T-80. Now, he doesn't have a lot of health remaining himself, and he could possibly kill the T-80 with a RAM, but he may not survive it, which means this match could end in a draw. It's assuming the T-80 doesn't shoot him first. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, that one missed. So now he doesn't even have enough ammunition left to kill the OI, and he's still got the T-80 to worry about. Well, that was a bit of a bummer, wasn't it? And then RNGesus smiles at him, and he rolls a natural 20, sets the OI on fire, and he didn't have a fire extinguisher. Okay, he's still in with a chance, but it's all going to depend on how much health that T80 has, because he's got exactly one shot left. And there he is, and it's... oh shit. Whatever happens, this shot has to hit. It does 115 average damage, just in case you were interested. And yes, the T80 has a lot more than 115 health remaining, so the only way he's going to win this game is to shoot the T80 and then ram him and hope he survives it. And he's got this because the T80 isn't even looking the right way. And then... oh. Well, that was unexpected. What the hell happened there? Why didn't he shoot the T80 and then ram him? Why did he ram him first? Well, I don't know. I wasn't there at the time, but I can offer two possible explanations. The first explanation, and this is the generous one, is that he knew he had to make that single shot count because it was the only shot he was going to get. So rather than risk firing on the move, he went for the ram first, but, well, the ram kind of spun both the vehicles around, and that worked out better for the T80 than it did for him. Now, the other possible explanation, and this one isn't quite so generous, is that he knew that there's a very special and very rare award in World of Tanks for killing the last tank on the enemy team with the last round of ammunition available in your tank. It's the Faden's Medal, and it is very rare. As you can imagine, those kind of circumstances don't materialise every time you play a game of World of Tanks, so it's possible that For Zero's eyes were lighting up in greed at that point when he realised that a Faden's Medal was very definitely on the table, and it was the attempt to get himself that medal that led to, well, that. Either explanation is equally plausible. I'll leave it up to you to make up your own minds. Now, depending entirely upon how charitable a soul you are, the result of Fuzero's battle will either have left you appalled or rolling around laughing in amusement. Just in case it left you appalled, here's Steve Wallace in the ELC Even 90 in a battle which I guarantee is going to cheer you up, because this is one of the funniest things that I have seen in World of Tanks in recent memory, for all kinds of different reasons. Steve runs a YouTube channel, by the way. It's called Honest Gaming, and also live streams regularly. Links down below in the video description to both his YouTube channel and his Twitch livestream. And I guarantee that a lot of you have probably already seen some of his World of Tanks videos, because this is the guy that did the Finding Jingles videos, where myself and other World of Tanks, at the time, community contributors, provided some of the voice lines for his hilarious scripts. And hilarious is something that tends to happen quite often whenever you're watching Steve play, whether that be in videos on his own YouTube channel, on his Twitch livestream, or here today, in one of my videos. Because Steve's the kind of player who just cannot resist the opportunity to do something, regardless of how stupid it may appear to be, if there's a chance he's going to get a laugh out of it. So what Steve is trying to do today, he's platooned up with another ELC Even 90, driven by Ian, here in this Tier 9 battle on Ruinberg. What he's trying to do is see if it's possible to win this battle purely by capping with a pair of ELC Even 90s. Now, that might not seem particularly funny, let's be honest. It isn't. Even though this is encounter, and it takes over 3 minutes for a single tank to cap successfully, there are two of them doing it. Now, the funny part is the way Steve's doing it. Now, Ian over there is doing the sensible thing, and he's hiding behind the fountain in the cap circle. That's a slightly obvious hiding spot, however. I mean, if you can't see any enemy tanks in the cap, and you are being capped, they have to be hiding behind the fountain. Well, you'd think so, and you'd mostly be right, but the thing is, Steve has never really been what you might describe as a conventional World of Tanks player. He's determined to hide his ELC Even 90 in that tiny scrap of bush. Heck, even the word bush is doing that thing an honour that it doesn't deserve. That's barely even a hedge. Ian has very wisely decided, screw that, you're on your own, sunshine. I'm out of here. But Steve is determined to stick to his guns. I mean, look at it. There's bits of tanks sticking out everywhere. But Steve is determined to find out whether or not you can hide an ELC even 90 in that scrap of shrubbery. Most of us wouldn't even bother to ask the question. I mean, of course you can't. Look at it. I mean, look at it. Are you stupid? But thankfully, Steve has never been the kind of guy to let silly things like logic get in the way of the pursuit of science. I can't help but get the impression that if anybody ever pointed a gun at Steve, he would stick his finger down the gun barrel because, hey, you never know until you try. Maybe a bullet does need a running start. Now, you might be sitting there laughing at him, but guess what? The joke's on you. Because, believe it or not, and frankly I didn't, the WZ-111G fake tank over there, with direct line of sight, cannot actually see him. Yes, really. And I was as amazed as you probably are. World of Tanks, go home. You're drunk. You can't, no way. This just, seriously? Yeah, I'm afraid so. They can't see him from any angle. Just look at how much of the tank is sticking out clear of the bush. You got the tracks on both sides and you got most of the turret on top, but none of those tanks can see him. I mean, hopefully they're aware that somebody is actually capping, although that's by no means guaranteed given how oblivious to situational awareness a lot of World of Tanks players are. And whether they realise it or not, because they're actually inside the cap circle, they've stopped the cap at about 75%. Seriously, I've got the link down below in the video description. If you think this is funny, and you should, because it is, you really need to see this happening live. Recorded from Twitch in the video on Steve's own channel. The team are losing quite badly, aren't they? And yet they're only a few seconds away from winning if they can just be persuaded to remove, as Ian has done, the enemy tanks from the cap. And Steve is once again. He's only 40 seconds. Oh, no. Oh, he's getting a bit close. If he gets within 50 metres, he will automatically spot him. And at 69 metres, he started backing off. And now he's dead. Ooh, yeah. They're going to have to kill the T-29. They're going to have to kill both of them. Well, the T-29 goes down. Steve fires his gun for the first time in this battle. Right. Ian, get in the cap. Get in the cap, Ian. There's only 3 of us left alive. Go, 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 go. Here comes Ian. 2 of them can do it. Now, while you'd have to be dead from the neck up to not think that was funny, that's not actually the funniest part of this video. They are going to win by capping, but then 2 things are going to happen very, very quickly, which you probably didn't see coming. First, the surviving Object 705 gets killed. And then Steve suddenly realises there's actually a Kolobanov's medal on the table here as well, providing he's the last surviving tank on his team. And Steve is only too happy to throw his platoon mate under the bus. Hey, what are friends for? And so that is not only the best invaders medal I have ever seen. In 10 years of covering World of Tanks, it's also the cheekiest Kolobanov's medal at the same time. And I cannot recommend enough that you check out the link in the video description and go and see this happening as it was recorded live. Because if you thought that was funny, you ain't seen nothing until you've seen it with Steve's actual reaction. And that of his platoon mate as well. And on that bombshell, that's it for today in World of Tanks. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.